Okay, after you remove the mechanical lock nut, take off the spacer washers and remove the piston. You want to be real careful when you remove the piston because on the piston there is something called a shim pack. The shim pack is what controls the fluid in your shock. And if you'll notice, the shim packs are comprised of little teeny thin shims. And each of these shims adds dampening to your shock. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be adding 15 thousandths of shim to the rebound and 30 thousandth shim to the compression side of the piston. This is the rebound side. This will be the compression side. Compression side is when the shock is on its way into the shock. Rebound is when the shock piston is on its way out of the shock. And I have the shims over here. Let me grab one. Can you get that mic? This is the 15,000 shim I'm going to be adding to the rebound side of the shock. We're doing that because on the particular car we're working on, we are going to lower the car and put it in low ride height. So we're going to have less shock shaft to deal with. So I'm going to add a little bit of compression and rebound to slow down our shock speed. Does it matter where you put that? Oh yes, that has to be put in the shim pack in order to go from biggest shim all the way down to the smallest shim. They have to be in order like that in order to work the way they bend in the shock. Good question, Michael. Now then on the compression side, same thing. Let's see, here's the piston. Let me show you this. Pistons have little holes in them. That's where all the fluid will flow through. The shim pack slides over that, covers the hole. When the fluid comes through, it actually bends these shims up slightly and lets the fluid flow through. The thicker the shim and the more shims you have, the harder it is for the fluid to get through the piston, thereby slowing down your shock shaft speed. And that's what we're after right now, slowing down the shock shaft speed in the car. You see the size of this shim. We don't put it on the top because then it's correct. We're going to put it in with the same size shims that are there already, giving us a total of 60 thousandths on our main compression shim. Put it back on our piston, match up the holes, put it back on. You always put the biggest part of the shim pack towards the piston, with the smallest facing away. Back on there. These spacers are used just to make up the difference in the shock shaft. If you use a larger shim pack, you may need to take away one washer to have this nut bottom out. In our case, we only added 45 thousandths of shim, so we don't need to take out a spacer. Will be just the perfect size. You tell by the size of it to make sure your mechanical nut, the threads go all the way to the end of it. Oops, there we go, like that. And since we still do, we're perfect. And this shock has now been revalved and ready for install. Put it back.